So where is my screen? Where is my screen? All right. You can turn that up a little. Six one four Startups Nation, welcome to another episode of the 614 Startups Podcast. This is a special edition, special for 2021, where we go live on all of our social media platforms. This is our first attempt at a live show. In the past, we have done shows where it's pre-recorded. Most of the show is just me interviewing a guest, but this time around, we wanted to bring the audience into the studio. Part of our plan was actually to do these live shows in front of a live audience. We can't do that now because of COVID. So why not use technology to bring you guys a live show? So thank you to all of you for joining us on this live episode of 614 Startups. I see the Andrea Group is joining us on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. Hello to you. And this show would not be possible without our sponsors. So in the past, what we've done is that we've gone the traditional programmatic route, right? Where we attract sponsors, they pay to have ads on the website and ads on our podcast. But we've actually transformed that and we created a partnership program. And so our partners so far, and we hope to be adding more companies, are companies that actually specialize in helping startups and small businesses scale. So for example, AWH is a sponsor. They're in the software development space. They've built a lot of great products for a lot of great startups here locally. We have Book and Street, which they do our accounting and finance. And I know sometimes they probably look at my numbers like, boy, you need to get out there and work. You need to grow this network. You need to bring in that money. And then of course, Entrepreneurs Brew. And most recently, Studio MFP that specializes in small business marketing. Myself and Mike Faga are going to be doing a lot of very interesting things in terms of bringing him on to talk about how you guys can scale your companies as well. So that's the partnership program. Go out there to the website, check out the partnership program, 614startups.com/partners. If you need help with software development, accounting, marketing, legal services, we're going to be adding new providers and partners. And if you have a trusted partner, you think they should be on there, we're recruiting attorneys, we're recruiting specialists within the attorney space. So like trademark, people who can do photography, videography for small businesses. So we want to add partners and we want to make sure that you guys have resources that you can go to that are designed specifically for startups. I don't have a huge budget. It look like I'm balling, right? But I'm balling on a budget, and the providers that are listed on that website on our website are the ones who are helping me do that on a budget. So I see more people joining us. Artisan Eats, I love it. Eric Bruckner, Damon Hogan, welcome. Some of you are coming back for the second time. I'm glad that this is adding value for you to be back again. And so let's get right into it. I have my super producer here. His name is Ski. So he and I are going to do some back and forth from time to time as we work out our cadence. But next up is In the News, where I'm going to be looking at news stories in the Columbus startup ecosystem that I'm really excited about, things that I read that got me fired up. So first off, I saw Cover My Meds put out a video of their brand new headquarters. I think this thing is like a $240 million facility. I have a very, very close relationship with Cover My Meds. I have a lot of affinity for Cover My Meds. My coffee company, Entrepreneurs Brew, does a lot of business with Cover My Meds. I used to go to their Maranova location and their Huntington location when we had deliveries there. But now they have this huge facility, and we're looking forward to working with them when those employees return to the building. So Cover My Meds is this amazing startup story. They were acquired a couple of years ago by McKesson for over $1 billion. So they hit unicorn status, and they're continuing to scale. They are quadrupling down. I mean, look at this beautiful facility, quadrupling down on Columbus as their headquarters. So the city is going to grow with Cover My Meds. And I think in that neighborhood where they're building, not too far from there, is where the new Crew Stadium is going to go. So imagine Cover My Meds, Crew Stadium, what that transformation is going to look like for the Franklinton area. So kudos to you guys. All right, next up, I saw this story on Purpose Jobs, the top Columbus startups and tech companies to watch in 2021. Now, this is where I make my play for why this show could potentially be me positioning myself as a venture scout, right? And so venture scouting programs are where these large venture funds look for typically founders who have scaled companies before to go out there and help them identify companies on the rise. And with this show, we're really helping these early stage companies tell their stories. And so a lot of companies on this list have actually been on the show. So let's scroll down and let's look at some of these companies to watch. So first up is Olive. I mean, Olive, it's like that overnight success. They've been around for a long time. I can't think of what the name was before they changed it to Olive, but they raised, I think, a couple $100 million, and they're scaling quickly. But let me talk about some of the alumni on this list. So Beam Dental. Beam Dental was on season 1. This is back in 2017, and they are doing their thing. Root Insurance, of course, by the time we had Jimmy Devine from Root on the show, Root was already a going concern on their way to an IPO. Let's scroll down a little bit quicker. So far we have 2 on the list. 2 of the top 5 have been on the show. Keep going, Ski. A little bit quicker. Oh, Seamless AI. I love what Brandon is over there doing. That dude gets me hyped up. He's like the Gary Vee of Columbus, Ohio. If you don't know who Brandon is, check out Seamless AI. It's a platform to help you sell. Brandon hasn't been on the show. We got to fix that. Aware Jeff Sherman hasn't been on the show yet, but I know Aware is doing a lot of good work. So Finite State, Matt Wickhouse has been on the show, and the seminal work that they did in terms of identifying vulnerabilities in the Huawei system. Remember about 2 years ago, the big conversation, right, was around Huawei and cybersecurity and backdoor into hardware. Finite State wrote the seminal paper on that and really helped government officials and advised government officials on where those vulnerabilities were. Number 10, ScriptDrop. Nick Potts has been on the show. He's the former CEO of ScriptDrop. He's now started a new company, Gift Health. So just think about that. That's just in the top 10. Those are the people that have been on the show. So one of the things that this show is able to do is really give these guys and girls a platform, right, early on when they're launching their company. So a lot of these folks we're going to talk about that are going to be future guests on the show are going to be people to watch, right? So even though they're going to be watch lists a year from now, the real watch list is the 614 Startups guest list. All right. So keep your eye on that guest list. These are up and coming founders that are going to be out there doing great things with their companies. Now, for those of you who follow us on social media, we want to give you a shout out. So right now, this is a little segment about social media and some of our followers, so that we can highlight the people who are part of our community, who are engaging with our content. So a couple of followers here I wanted to shout out. First up is Sell Naked Book. Now, it's not what it sounds like, all right? You hear Sell Naked, you're not quite sure, you don't want to click on that link, right? But this link you definitely want to click on, because this is the new book by former alumni Ryan Frederick, founder of AWH, a partner to this show, and author of my favorite book on startups, The Founder's Manual. I love that book. I'm going to read that book, reread it. I'll probably do that as an annual thing. But Sell Naked is his new book, and that book is for service providers. So the Founder Manual is for people starting startups. If you're a service provider, so if you're a marketing agency, if you're a law firm, anything that has to do with selling services, this is a great book for you to pick up. Ryan knows what he's talking about as a software developer. He's working with customers all the time, and he's passing on his knowledge here. So if you're on Instagram, you need to be following Sell Naked, and you need to be checking out that book. All right, next up is Need a Label. So Need a Label, man, it looks like they're just getting on Instagram. They're ready to get busy. They followed us, but labeling, right? Looks like they're a small business, kind of sticker and label company. So if you sell candles, if you sell coffee like us, if you sell any products and you need labeling, you should check them out. Looks like they're just getting started, so show them some love. And if you are in need of that product, you should definitely check out and buy local when you can. Of course, we all want to save money, so we kind of go to the big guys who have economies of scale. But if you have an opportunity, maybe on a small order, they might work things out with you. So check them out, all right? Now we're going to flip over to LinkedIn. So we're super active on Instagram, but oh my goodness, because of the nature of what we do, we are super heavy on LinkedIn. So if you're not following us on LinkedIn, please join us on LinkedIn, 614 Startups on LinkedIn. And shout out to Ebony Solly. I hope I'm saying that right. She's joining us all the way from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, the interesting thing about this show, even though it has a Columbus, Ohio focus, we see 46% of our traffic coming from outside of Columbus, Ohio. So Ebony, thank you so much for following us from Milwaukee. And then next up is John Lockwood. This is my guy. So a very interesting story. John works right up the street, leading a very innovative program over at ChenMed. He and I I was looking to find who my counterpart was at ChenMed. John followed us on 614 Startups because he heard about the podcast from a colleague at Cardinal Health. So these are some of the connections that get made on this podcast. So John, thank you for following 614 Startups. We had a great meeting today. We talked about value-based healthcare, which is another thing that I'm passionate about in my day job. So guys, listen, it's worth following 614 Startups. You never know when you might get a shout out on the show. So that's why you need to follow us, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, because we're going to do a rotation of those on who we shout out. So follow us on all platforms and then connect with us, comment, DM us, send us show ideas, send us guest ideas, etc. This is an interactive community, all right? So next up, we're going to talk about events. All right, now, networking is so important if you're a business owner, not just getting to know people in your industry, not just getting to know your customers, but getting to know people across industries. And there's an event coming up on February the 8th. With Steve Leakus. Now, Steve is with Branch Insurance. I think they just raised like $24 million. So they definitely, well, I assume they have product market fit. Steve and I have not had a conversation. But look at this very interesting collaboration, right? So Startup Grind. It's a partnership with Google Startups. But look right below that, the Entrepreneur's Brew. When you sign up, so we did a partnership deal with Startup Grind. When you start up to attend this event on February the 8th, you get a bag of Entrepreneur's Brew coffee. All right, so the official coffee of 614 Startups, we will mail you a bag. So this link right here is on our website. And you can see this is our website that we're on right now, 614startups.com. At the very top, home, you could listen to the podcast, you could read news, you could watch videos. And then you can, of course, explore partners if you're looking for service providers. But then you can go to events, and under events you're going to see different things happening around the city. Of course most of these things are going to be virtual. So this is where you find this event. This is where you register for this event, and then scroll down a little bit lower. Ski, if you have an event and you want to tell us about it so we can post it on our calendar, we'd love to do that for you, as long as it's appropriate, right? You're adding value to the community. It's something that's relevant. It's a topic that startup founders would be interested in. All right. So that's a little bit about the format of how the show is typically going to run. Those are kind of the main segments that we're going to hit. And then typically we would go into the guest. But because this is show 1, right, we don't have a guest scheduled. Our very first guest to kick off live, right? And so can you imagine this? I'm doing this. This is my show. I have all the controls on my end. If I mess up, Ski is going to make me look good. Imagine being a guest on a live show, right? So a lot of these founders haven't done a lot of media, and for them to come on a show that's live where we're trying to figure it out and they're trying to figure it out and they have investors, etc. So it's going to be an interesting kind of play. And I know we're going to have a lot of fun. People are going to be off the cuff, which is the way that we actually want it, because we want people to give you the real. All right, so upcoming guests, the lineup right now is crazy. So next week is going to be Naveed Iqbal, and he's building a company called Dollar. Now, we all understand that student loans are a big issue in society. Millennials owe a lot in student loans. It's a significant burden in terms of how much of our take-home paying student loans actually takes away from other things that we could be doing. For example, investing, maybe buying that first home, maybe even starting a family. That's one of the considerations that people make. So Naveed's company, Dollar, is trying to find innovative ways for companies to create a benefit that helps their employees pay off student loans. So he's going to come in here and tell us the full story about that product. So really excited to hear Naveed's story. Next up on February the 17th, my man Sam Badu of Flurry, and he's building an insurance marketplace for Africa. I think he's launched in a couple of countries so far, and he wants to cover the entire continent. If you don't know, people who live in the U.S. Of African descent, so first generation, second generation, who have family in Africa, send quite a bit of money back home for healthcare. The problem is there's no insight into how that money is being spent and whether or not the appropriate services are being rendered for that person. So Flurry is going to give you insight where you can buy an insurance policy for a family member, and then you'll be able to see what kind of care they're receiving, making sure they're getting the best care. So Flurry is a very interesting conversation. And then we're bringing on an investor to talk to us, Kelly Jones of 68 Capital, which is a venture firm that's focused on investing in Black and brown founders. It's a partnership with Allos Capital, and she's out of Indiana. I think she's going to be our first. No, I don't think. I know she's going to be our first guest from Indiana. So we're actually going outside the state to bring you guys great content, because there are people outside the state who want to invest in Ohio, and we need to get on their radar as well. So Kelly's going to be on the show. We are super excited about that. All right. So I already gave you a plug for social, right? You need to be following us, because we'll give you love right back. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Next, the newsletter. Ski, if you could flip back over to the website. All throughout the website, we're trying to get you to sign up for this newsletter. I think it's off to the right if you scroll down. You can subscribe right there. It's on every other page, right? Subscribe, because there's certain content that we're only going to put out to people on our newsletters. For example, when we do our demo days, so we're going to have startups. A lot of these startups we talk about, we never see their product in action. So for example, Dollar, I would love to have Naveed on to do a product demo for us to see what Dollar looks like if you signed up for a Dollar account, right? So if you have student loans, what does that look like? How do I pull my student loans in? If my employer is going to create a match, how does that match work? So we're going to be doing demo days. Those demo days are going to be exclusive for people on our newsletter. We're also going to have pitch days, where I'm going to bring in some investor friends. They're going to hang out with us virtually. And then we're going to put out applications to people on the newsletter to apply to pitch investors. So you have to be on the newsletter. All right. So that's heavy promo for the newsletter right there. And this is about engagement, which is why it's live. So we want your feedback. We want your feedback on what you've heard so far. If you have questions about startups, you can ask those questions. If you have a question about 614 Startups specifically, you can ask. So we're going to open it up for QA to people who are joining us. Don't be shy, right? Just throw it in the chat and I will address it. All right, let's see who else has joined us since my last check-in. Stephanie Rose Consulting. I like that. Stephanie, what kind of consulting do you do if you're still hanging out there? Vicky, welcome. Idris, welcome. Obi-Wan Shinobi. Okay, I love that name. I would love to hear what you do if you're a business owner or founder, if you're working, thinking about starting a business, would like to learn more about you. Felicia D. Graffiti. Dope, she says, doing an art industry panel at with Wild Goose Creative. So Wild Goose is a great organization here locally. Will that panel be live? How will we be able to see that panel? How will we be able to watch that? Tell the folks at Wild Goose Creative to go over to our website, go to the events page, have them submit the event to us so we can share it with our community. I'm sure they would love to have some people from 614 Startups joining. Kevin Stewart, welcome Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us on live. We've just done a quick run through of the show. Now, Ski, that was 19 minutes, right? Not bad, because I think if we're bringing the guest in right now, that's perfect, right? We're going to do a 30-minute conversation with the guest. So I think the timing is great. I feel comfortable, man. I feel like I'm warmed up now. I'm ready to bring the guests on. So, guys, I need your engagement with me. Do you have any questions about the startup world? Are you building a product, building an app, thinking about it, looking to raise money? What's going on in your world? Would love to hear from you. Let's break it down. What else did I have to go over today? I mean, the show has been turned over to you guys now, so let's have some fun, all right? Any questions that you have out there, I would love to answer them. And while we wait for those questions, because I know sometimes with these, there's a little bit of a delay, let's go ahead and go back over to that story of the top Columbus startups. I want to keep going down that list, right? Because I'm in the top 10. We have like 5 already, right? So we already know we at this show, we've been able to find these companies very, very early on. Let's keep going down. Prior Auth Now, I've heard good things about them. I want to have Joe on the show. That's number 13. Let's keep going down. Popcom. Okay, Dawn Dixon. And Dawn, forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, your married last name. But Popcom, Dawn is breaking all kinds of records with raising money via equity crowdfunding. I think she's raised like $2 million plus in just 2 rounds of equity crowdfunding. So Dawn is a very interesting story. Her company, Popcom, is revolutionizing the vending space. So if you're in the airport and you need to purchase something, Dawn and her company are building software for those machines. So that's great. Rise Rewards. Phil Osolinsky was on the show, and his thing is also addressing student loans, but via points that pay down your student loans when you shop. So we all buy things every day. We go to the gas station, we go to the grocery store, etc. Why not have your purchases help you pay down debt? Every time you buy something, much like companies like Acorn, where they take a couple pennies and save it for you, why not have that apply to your student loan debt? Let's keep going down. Okay, we have some engagement here. So Felicia says, I'm an artist transitioning into business. Great. How do I treat my talent as a startup? All right, so look what the heck I'm doing. I'm just talking, right? Now, there's all this beautiful production around it. There's all these, Ski's here. He's an expert in this field. But at the end of the day, let's just call my talent talking. I'm just calling it talking, right? So I've been able over the last 3 years to monetize that talent. So for you, when you say artist, one of the things that you have to do is figure out kind of how do you narrow down, because art is a wide field. So there's sculptors, there's painters, there's graffiti artists. I mean, I see graffiti in your name, I think. But let's take, for example, the folks who did the mural on the side of Gravity. I'm guessing that person who did the mural on the side of Gravity did not do that mural for free. I'm just guessing, right? So that's an example of an artist, graffiti artist, if you are indeed a graffiti artist, turning their talent into a business. Now, I guess maybe that's not quite a business because that's them still doing the work. So the next question to you would be, do you want to continue to do the work? Because when you transition from a talent to a talent that's monetized, and then from a monetized talent to a business, chances are you won't be the person doing the work anymore. So then maybe your thing is, how do you find jobs for graffiti artists? How do you connect businesses who want to do graffiti art with graffiti artists who are known to provide great service? And then how do you make money on that transaction? So there are tons of different ways to do it. But when you say business, chances are, as the business owner, you won't be doing the work anymore. All right, so I see here that you are a muralist. So listen, I'm not psychic, but why did the example of the mural on the side of gravity come to me as the example to use? And it lines up perfectly with your question, right? Which is, there are people right here in Columbus, and I don't know if you're local in Columbus, who have done exactly what you are attempting to do. All right, I got my man Ben Ornis. I don't have my glasses on, y'all, because the glasses are going to reflect from this light, so I'm squinting a little bit. Forgive me. Ben Ornis says, oh, you're thinking big, Ben. He says, I would pitch Elon Musk to paint the Tesla Gigafactory in Berlin. All right, so how would you pitch Elon Musk? How would you get your attention is the real genius, right? Not that you couldn't just paint the Gigafactory, but here's how it's that pitch, right? What's the story you're gonna tell Elon Musk to get him to say yes, right? Do you do a mural on a mock rocket that looks like a SpaceX rocket and shoot it into the sky and see if you could get news? I don't know. How are you going to get Elon Musk's attention for him to say yes? That would be kind of the brilliant PR/marketing mind of a business owner. So Felicia's loving it. Ben, yeah, great suggestions. It looks like Ben is familiar with your work. He's saying he loves your murals. Okay, you see this black wall right here? All right. Quick, okay, listen, all right, I'm going to tell a story because I got something exciting to say to you, Felicia. Do not leave. I see you putting thank you up there. Do not leave because you're going to want to stick around for what I'm going to say. But I had a chance to speak to Business Builders, which is a business club at Ohio State. And we were doing something very similar. And I said, you know, when I started 614 Startups, it was a ready, aim, fire. Ready, fire, aim type business. I didn't do any research, right? I just launched. And I asked them, I was like, well, what are some of your ready, fire, aim ideas? And just like Ben, you know, his ready, fire, aim suggestion is pitch Elon Musk to paint the Gigafactory. Well, this one girl, her ready, fire, aim idea was to do consultations for the best place in your house to put a plant. Now, you guys are like, what? But there was literally somebody else who was listening to that conversation who cash apped her $20 on the call live. Cash apped her $20 to get a consultation done for where to put a plant in his apartment. First time in the history of Ohio Business Builders of anybody going there and speaking where they actually, somebody had a business idea and then monetized it in a matter of a few seconds. We're going to see if we're going to do that. I'm going to see if I'm going to go for 2-0 in a row. All right. So this is the last time I recorded or talked to anybody. Now, Felicia, I don't know if you know where the U is. The U, or the Urban Accelerator X, is located on Rose Avenue here in Columbus. That's where I'm recording right now. See this black wall right here? There are a lot of walls at the U. And I'm hearing from Ski that you need to come by the U. All right? Ski, go ahead and throw me the information for where to send that email. You need to come by the U because they have been thinking about doing a mural, and they would like to talk to you about that. Now, if I go 2-0 on this, live, somebody pitches their business, another person who's on live hears it, and they connect and do some business. Listen, that's what this show is all about. That is what my work is all about. So Felicia, if you're listening and you're still there, hopefully you're there. The email you should email right now is hello, 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 at the, THEU, like the letter U, cbus.com. Email Ski, and let's see if we can do some business. All right, we have more comments. And I know we had some live footage of you, not live, but we had some footage of you doing your graffiti, which looks pretty dope. I'm going to check that out. Felicia says, thank you. That's a private home. Okay, you were commenting on what we were showing. And the second one was on the barbershop. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully this was fun. When we post this, I hope you will share it. And Felicia, please reach out to the U. And I want to leave you with my one takeaway. Listen, guys, if you want to be successful, it's going to take a lot of smarts, a lot of advice. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you just got to work harder than you ever thought you were going to work in your life. There's no shortcuts. You're going to have some smarts. Again, you're going to have some luck. You're going to need a lot of advice. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you got to do the work. Thank you for joining us on another episode. Peace.